What's up guys? In this video we're talking about the books and productivity systems I use to run my life and my companies that you can follow step by step. These are also the same books and systems I used to become financially free at 27 years old last year. For those that don't know me, I'm a little bit of a productivity nerd. And actually these days I'm more of a tame version of what I used to be. But from the age of 22 to 25, I read over 100 books just on productivity, time management, business, and leadership. And yes, quantity doesn't mean nearly as much as quality because we probably all know someone who's read all the books and done all the research and just hasn't taken any action, and we don't want that. But reading this many books did give me a sense of what was fluff and what was tactical, and it also gave me a chance to apply different tactics to see which ones work better than others. And if you're watching this video, you can hopefully take some of the learnings from me instead of having to read 100 books to figure out which ones apply to you in your situation. Before we talk about what the books are, let's talk about why they matter for a sec. So the most successful people I've ever met and know are usually the ones with the best systems. And I don't know about you, but when I was in school or in my first job, I wasn't learning much about systems at all. I was learning about spending time in meetings, checking email, and if there was a training, it was some corporate BS training about a product or new service that was being rolled out. So I wanted this list to be more of a crash course in productivity and productivity with a system. And I actually didn't start out in life as a productive person, so don't worry if you feel scattered at the moment, because I was probably in the same situation as you or a worse situation. But once I realized how important it was to have systems to be successful and how much easier it made life felt, it kind of became addicting. And if you're watching this video, you might be on your way to also becoming sort of addicted. So without any further ado, let's jump into the books and what I took from each of them. The first book is Getting Things Done by David Allen. This is a must read in the world of productivity. Like, there are actually so many concepts from this book that have been recycled into other books and concepts. But the main one that I took from it, and we'll talk about it a little bit more within the tools, is a main inbox, or essentially a way to brain dump all your ideas and store them safely. David Allen refers to this as capture. David believes that the mind is meant for having ideas, not for storing them. He explains that people are actually most creative and best at solving problems when they have a clear mind, and not when they're worried about what day to pick their laundry up or how to do their errands or stuff that's not so important, but they haven't gotten it out of their head. In the book, he talks about the process of getting everything out of your head into one place so you could start with a clean slate and begin planning and prioritizing instead of playing catch up every day. By doing this, he explains, you'll see what's important, you'll see what's not important, what can be delegated, and then what can be done at a later time. And you might be thinking, what tool do I use? But the tool can be as simple or as complicated as you like. Obviously, simple is recommended, but for example, David Allen just uses a piece of paper and a pen. We use Notion, and I've talked to plenty of other people that use everything else in between. There was also a term that I really liked, or the way he explained it, for people that don't do this. He calls it ambient anxiety. Basically what this means is people are in a low grade of stress all the time, but they don't know why. He explains this is why people have blow-ups or feel like they're always behind, which is just not a good feeling. And what he says is it's because people have hundreds of open loops that are not captured, and then they're never gonna get done or finished. He believes the more of these you have, the more stressed, unhappy, and unproductive you'll end up being. So if you take anything from GTD, or Getting Things Done, it should be to capture all your ideas and to-dos and notes in a central place that you can review and prioritize often. I assure you it'll give you way more clarity and focus. Also, if you're interested in learning more about David Allen, we were lucky enough to have him on our podcast, and we'll link that somewhere on the screen, but it was an awesome episode, and he's just a really cool dude. He lives in Amsterdam and just does whatever he wants. Next is The Effective Executive by Peter Drucker. This is such an important business book for so many reasons. The main point that I took from the book, though, that we apply to our systems is measuring things. I'm not sure if he said it first, but the famous line from the book is, what gets measured gets managed. Basically, this means in order to improve things, you need to be able to track them and understand why they're happening. Peter Drucker explains that most executives fill their days with meetings. Most of the time, they don't even know why they're in these meetings, but they feel really busy. When in reality, they're not actually productive meetings at all. If you're still in the corporate world, this may resonate with you more than others, but in corporate America, from my experience, people have way too many meetings, and specifically pointless meetings. These are often the biggest productivity killers because it really does feel good to get together and figure stuff out, but usually nothing gets done at all. And after a day of meetings, you'll probably feel tired and feel like you got stuff done, but then you'll think back and ask yourself, what did I actually accomplish today? And the answer is usually not that much, just when you have tons of meetings. So after reading The Effective Executive, I started to track my time way more closely. I was tracking things like time on social media. I started setting limits actually. I reviewed my calendar daily and weekly to see how many meetings I was having and what was the point of these meetings, and also made sure that every meeting I had an agenda to go along with it. Another thing I started doing, or stopped doing, was taking hour-long meetings unless there was a very specific reason and we knew we needed that much time. I replaced replaced a lot of these with just Loom videos or 15-minute meetings. This is also when I started taking time blocking a lot more seriously. And what this means is that you just chunk out parts of your day to do your most important work, and nothing else can be done in that time. And only after I got my most important work done in that day can I do other stuff like checking social media, checking email, taking meetings, or just other stuff. This is the first book I read that introduced me to this concept, and I still use it today. And the last book that ties the first two together for me, and it's just a great book in general, is The 12-Week Year by Brian Moran. The main concept I took from this book was to shorten the timeline of your goals to force yourself to get stuff done more quickly. It's like if you ever have a goal that you set for the year and you haven't been productive for 11 months, but somehow you find a way to get it done in December because you felt a lot of urgency. And I know not everyone functions this way, but I think a lot of people actually do. We procrastinate as long as possible until we put ourselves in a corner and we need to be productive. Instead of setting goals for a 12-month year, Brian talks about setting goals for a 12-week quarter. By doing this, there's an immediate urgency to take action and start working on the goal. The book also talks about a scorecard to use to track your goals weekly in relation to your quarterly goal. And I really like that about the scorecard from this book, is that it talks about measuring the activity instead of measuring the outcome. Most people measure how many pounds they lose when they're trying to lose weight, but Brian would say that's incorrect. What he would say is you should be measuring how many days you ate clean and how many times you went to the gym that week. And you should only reward yourself for hitting your activity goals, not your outcome goals. Here's an example of what a scorecard like that looks like. If you want a copy of that, just drop a comment below. We'll make sure to get it to you. Okay, so to recap, here are the main concepts I took from each of those books and combined the systems to what we use today. From GTD, I took taking a capture box to track all your requests and all your notes and all your to-dos. From the Effective Executive, I took measuring your time and tracking your calendar way more effectively. And from 12-Week Year, I thought about shortening the timeline of my goals and having a clear scorecard to focus my attention and plan my weeks to have better accountability. Also from 12-Week Year, they talk a lot about recruiting accountability with a partner. That's really important too. And guys, I promise if you just follow a system like this for 90 days and stay consistent, you'll be amazed where you are in a short period of time. I was not a naturally productive person. I actually have horrible ADD and get distracted by almost everything. And that's why I use these tools to trick myself into being more productive. Lastly, there are a few notable mention books. I didn't want to leave these off, and if you want to see more videos about these, I'm happy to do them. Just let me know in the comments. And guys, if you haven't done so already, please make sure to hit the like and subscribe button to the channel. We're going to be doing a lot more videos like this, doing a lot more giveaways, so make sure you're subscribed. But here are the books that got left off. The first one is The One Thing. This book finally helped me focus on one thing at a time. The 4-Hour Workweek. I just love this book. I reread it probably once a year and it totally changed my life. It helped me start delegating a lot better. And lastly, The Magic of Thinking Big. This book helped me realize setting a big goal and a small goal aren't really that different, so I might as well go big. All right guys, that's it. Not our usual type of video, but I'm going to be doing experiments on a lot of different types of videos, so let me know what else you want to see and we'll add it to the queue. Until next time, be great, and I'll see you on the next one.